Let me start off today's episode by just giving a huge shout out to Bill inside of the community group at Heartletics. Now, if you have not heard Bill's story, it's amazing. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to have it, at the very end where you can just simply click on it and listen to our one-on-one interview where he talks about how he lost over 45 pounds, a complete mindset shift. And I'm going to be talking about that here in a little bit. But the reason why I want to give him a big shout out is because he said something specifically in one of our weekly Zoom chats that we do, and it just kind of like was the light bulb effect. Now, let me also say this. I'm a student in the game, right? Bill's a client, I'm a coach, but by all means, I am living proof of everything that I tell somebody that's brand new that signs up for our coaching program. To be successful, you need to be open-minded. And I make sure that each and every day I'm open-minded. And I'm never on this pedestal, so to speak, where I'm a coach and somebody's a client and they say something and I'm like, oh, I know that, or whatever, that doesn't make sense because I have more certifications or more expertise or anything like that. It's never like that at all at Heartletics, right? It's literally a family. And Bill said something that I'm like, man, that just was the moneymaker right there. I got to make a podcast about it because it covers Heartletics, honestly. It honestly covers Heartletics. Everything about Heartletics, what he said, I'm going to be talking about that here in a little bit. It covers everything about what we go over and how we help out our members. But the reason why, right, like I have so much respect for Bill, and just, I really want you guys to listen to his interview. And if you're listening to this on Spotify or iTunes, then just check it out at the very end. Just go through Spotify, go through iTunes, the Heartletics, library for however you listen to your podcast, and just check it out, right? The title is How Bill Lost 45 Pounds, and then in parentheses, Mindset Advice. Very, very powerful episode. That's all I have to say. But the reason why I have so much respect for Bill is because not just the simple fact of he lost, over 45 pounds. I think he's down, like 52 total pounds so far. Not for the simple fact of him, lowering his blood pressure, lowering his A1C levels. Those are all great things, right? And I'm sure that's why he got signed up for our coaching program. But I'm more proud of Bill for the simple fact of who he became through this transformation. He was somebody that started off and he would join our weekly Zoom coaching calls. We typically do these 3 times a week where everybody, all the coaches, all the members, who's ever available, hops on the Zoom chat. We just kind of talk and it's so much fun. And he started off joining these, Zoom coaching calls and, he was muted. He had his video camera off, right? So he was just listening in, say on the outside, Sure enough, he started to, unmute himself and started to, turn his video camera on and started just engaging more and more and more. And it was like this snowball effect where the more he did it, it seemed like he would always gain something from it. Either, new tips and tricks on how to lose body fat, going over better things with his habits, most importantly, I should say, with his mindset as well, all these different things. But when Bill got signed up, I kid you not, right? And if he's listening to this, which he probably will, he's going to chuckle and say, yeah, Joe always says this, right? And Joe Lochran, the other coach Joe, he said it best. He said, Bill's like the poster boy child for Heartletics. And he really is, because it just goes to show what could happen in somebody's life when they shift their mindset, right? And when they're open-minded, And so with Bill, he got started off and he was doing really good with his nutrition. He understood that from the beginning. He used our app on how to track everything in terms of hitting his protein, his food logs, everything like that. It was very simple for him. But in terms of training, it wasn't the easiest thing for him. And what do I mean by that? Well, Bill got signed up and specifically said, I hate working out. I don't want to work out. I'm not that type of guy. And I said, oh, dude, trust me, right? I got this. Bill, you know me, brother. Just trust me. Get signed up, walk a little bit, do a little bit of a few exercises, dial into the nutrition, you'll lower your A1C levels. I'm that confident when it comes to that because how we make our nutrition coaching at Heartletics is the easiest thing in the world. You literally can't mess it up unless you just fall off the wagon and don't care about your health anymore. But I knew Bill wasn't going to do that because Bill prioritizes health. But regardless, we had on Bill's plan, I think for 3 or 4 weeks in phases. Simple stuff like push-ups and sit-ups. Like that's it. I mean, we're talking literally, I think 25, 30, 50 push-ups around there, like so small. He honestly, it took like maybe 5 weeks for him to start doing one push-up. And I remember the first time he did a set of push-ups, he mentioned in the Zoom chat, he said, man, it's been like 5 weeks since I've been on this program and I just tried doing my first set of push-ups ever. And he's like, it's very discouraging because back when I was in the Army, he's like, I could do these left to right. Now I can't, and we just encouraged him as a group, right? This is the key thing that I'm going to get into here in a little bit. We encouraged him as a group to, hey, stick with it. And he did. Right, and continued to move forward, and sure enough, it went from 50 sit-ups a day and 50 push-ups a day all the way up to 100. Right now, Bill is in Spartans, and he typically does his Spartans workout, which is 300 push-ups and 300 sit-ups. We all do this inside of our Spartans group, and this is like the elite of the elite on the Heartletics app of the ride hard, die hard guys, right? The warriors, I should say, and he does them all before anybody else. Right, first thing in the morning, he just knocks him out, getting him out of the way. And he talks about this inside of his interview, which, once again, if you listen to that, very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. But nonetheless, Bill slowly started to progress to doing bodyweight workouts, right? Not just push-ups and sit-ups, but full bodyweight workouts with different exercises. And then started to progress and invest into a kettlebell, right? And then started to invest more. And, well, he didn't invest. He just came to my house and I gave him my dumbbells because I don't use them. But still, right, you can see that transition of starting off with not really doing anything at all besides walking and nutrition, to then progressing to push-ups and sit-ups, to then progressing to using a kettlebell, to then progressing with now, dumbbells as well. And it's this progression, right? And as he's transitioning his body into losing body fat, getting healthier, building more lean muscle tissue, he's transforming his mind. He's stepping outside of his comfort zone as well. And it's really, really powerful to see, But Bill said something inside of the weekly Zoom coaching calls just recently. And like I said, it was that light bulb factor for me, which I've never heard before. And I even looked it up, and it's even like in the Bible as well, like kind of like a summary of what Bill said. And I'm like, man, this is wild. I've never heard this before, but it makes sense. And this is exactly what Heartletics is. So if, let's say, you're wondering what Heartletics is, or let's say you're a member of Heartletics and one of your friends or family members is, inquiring about it because maybe they see your transformation, all you have to do is simply say this. And this is what Bill said. Right? Because one individual inside of the weekly Zoom coaching calls, he was looking for guidance. He was looking for help. And Bill was telling him, hey, I got this complete transformation, not just physically, but most importantly, mentally, because of the community groups. And Bill said this, quote unquote, many hands make the load light. And I never heard that before. And it was like that, just dropping of the mic. And I was like, wow, there's so much truth to that. Many hands make the load light. In the Bible, in Nehemiah chapter 3, it says, many hands make light work. Many hands make light work. And there's so much truth to that. So much truth. And the reason why, it's because, one, guys in general, right? Men to men. We do the hardest things in life because of our egos. And you know what the hardest things are? Typically, us thinking we know everything under the sun. Typically, it's us believing that we're better than everybody else. It's these egos, right? And so when Bill said, many hands make the load light, like, yes, right, there's a lot of truth to having people in your corner surrounding you, right? A community, encouragement, right? Nobody wants to go out to war all by themselves with a gun, and they don't have a tank, they don't have an army behind them. Like, they're never going to win. Nobody wants to play basketball 1 against 5. They're never going to win that game either. So I want you to really think about in terms of like, where is your ego stopping you from getting help? There's a phrase out there that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I want you to just think about in terms of where you're at right now with your life, where you're right now in terms of your health, where you're at in terms of your career, relationships, everything like that. I get so much relationship advice, marital advice, from just these weekly Zoom coaching calls because all these guys are experienced, right? Like I'm a young buck in the game. Like sure, I'm more experienced in terms of coaching, health and fitness and certifications and knowledge, but like we talk about life on these weekly coaching calls. And that's why we say Heartletics is about a family, right? We're literally a family away from your family. Yeah. And it's so powerful because I learned so much being someone in my 30s from, all these other guys. I absorb that knowledge. That's why I always say, if you want to be successful inside of our coaching program, you got to be open-minded from the start. Every day I'm open-minded because I'm always learning from these other guys. And I really want you to think about it in terms of like, where are you right now in terms of your life and where are you struggling at? Is it with your self-limiting beliefs? Well, guess what? If you were with a bunch of other guys that they were able to break their self-limiting beliefs and you had the same self-limiting belief, do you think that you would have success? The answer is a hell yes, right? For sure. And the reason why is like, look at success out there like Roger Bannister, right? The first person ever to complete a 4-minute mile. People, literally doctors, thought that the human heart would explode if anybody was going to be able to complete that. And he was able to do it. But he broke those self-limiting beliefs and hundreds of other people were able to complete that afterwards because he proved that it was possible. So what are your self-limiting beliefs in your head holding you back? If you were around an environment of people, do you think you would have success? It's like the same thing of like taking a child and they speak just fluent English and you put them in an Italian, right, household where all they speak was Italian, right, for let's say a year or two. I bet you anything, that child is going to learn how to speak Italian. That's just how it is. Birds of a feather flock together. Hang around in life with losers, you become a loser. Hang around in life with winners, you become a winner. Les Brown said that. Jim Rome also said, you become the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So it's just like, what's really holding you back? Is it your environment in terms of the people that's around you, or I should say lack thereof, right? The lack of the support that you have in terms of your life, because maybe your ego, that bad wolf, is saying, hey, you don't need help. You can do this all by yourself. Google has free information. YouTube has free information. You don't need any help at all. Guess what? All you're going to be doing is putting a Band-Aid on the gunshot wound and making things harder for you down at the end of the road. It's like the simple, fact of what you do today that's hard, and maybe the hard decision is just, putting your ego to the side and feeding the good wolf, right? And deciding not to feed the bad wolf. And that could be hard, right, for most guys to put their egos to the side. And that's a hard decision to do in the beginning, but it makes your life so much easier down the road. Compared to, let's say you're trying everything under the sun. Let's just talk about in terms of losing weight, right? I'll cut out my carbs because you hear that all the time, right? I'll just do intermittent fasting because you hear that all the time. I'll just do a bunch of cardio. And in the very beginning, right, you feel like you're a know-it-all, right? Like, oh, I don't need a coach. I don't need a community. Like, I can do this all by myself. I'm having success, right? I just lost some weight. But maybe you don't know that cutting out your carbohydrates, all you do is lose water weight. Maybe you don't know that, hey, when you do intermittent fasting, you're not eating enough calories to actually, maintain your muscle and you're losing your muscle, right? Maybe you don't know that tons and tons of cardio, at the end of the day, like, sure, it's great for you, but it's not going to help speed up your metabolic rate. It's not going to help you maintain that muscle mass either. So, like, at the end of the day, sure, you see the number on scale go down, but it just makes things harder for you because maybe you can't sustain that. Maybe it's not a lifestyle transformation. Maybe you're just doing something that's quick, easy, right? Band-Aid to the gunshot wound solution, right? But you don't understand that it just makes your life harder down the road when you end up regaining the weight right back. So, once again, what Bill said was a big light bulb factor to me. And I want who's ever listening to this right now, you might even be a member of Heartletics listening to this right now. Keep this in mind. Heartletics, right, is just like what Bill said. Many hands make the light load. So, make the load light. So, when you're out there struggling, if let's say you're starting to feed the bad wolf or you fall off the wagon, right? You have a community group right there for you. You are blessed to have Heartletics in your life. Hands down. That is a family that's there to love you, support you, care for you, encourage you every step of the way. And if let's say you don't have Heartletics and you're somebody from the outside, then I challenge you to look into terms of your environment, look into terms of your surroundings, who is being there to support you in becoming the best version of yourself, not just physically, but most importantly, mentally as well. And if you want any more tips and tricks on how to get a life-changing transformation, once again, go listen to that episode. It's an interview that me and Bill did. He talks about literally from start to finish, how he was able to improve his health, drop over 45 pounds, a complete mindset shift. Go listen to that episode. I promise you anything, it's going to inspire you to start taking action. And in this world, today's society, we need more people to start taking action. We need more people to be leaders. We need more people to start feeding the good wolf. And sometimes that means that you just need to starve the ego and push it to the side. And that might not be a easy thing to do in the very beginning. But hey, once again, many hands make the load light. So who's helping you, right, with that work? Who's helping you feed the good wolf more? Think about that.